Okay, look, no one wants to watch 4 hours of strawberry videos, so I'll keep it short. Let's start with Hazel. Hazel fell into a river and got swept away to a robot city where she met a clunky street catbot named Vector. Vector's people lived a life of casual indulgence powered by battery juice extracted from forest creatures like Hazel, who, upon realizing this, was understandably upset and attempted to throw herself into a vat of molten steel. Luckily, Vector overcame the callous attachment of materialism and, at the cost of his own diminishing energy reserves, escorted Hazel back to her home, where he collapsed. We were left with Hazel telling all of her friends about her wonderful adventures as Vector sat statue-like and glowing mysteriously beneath the boughs of a familiar-looking tree. Chapter 2, but now we're in Vector's head, reliving the last moments of his life, as his unglamorous end has led to a depression in which the specter of Hazel manifested as a demon of judgment. Accepting this demon, he's guided from the labyrinth of his own mind. Meanwhile, in the real world, Hazel is tended to Vector, and in growing up, has inexplicably turned from a tiny squirrel to a full-sized furry animal. Don't ask. Her dedication to Vector, along with his acceptance of his end, frees him from the prison of his own mind. Upon waking, he experiences visions. These visions guide him to a jungle land where a trans gal named Esperanza is weeping in a field. It turns out Esperanza's father, the warrior Flashclaw, expects his trans child to inherit the mantle of the protector of the island. Esperanza wants to go explore the world and be free. Luckily, she has a brother, Crimson Spear, appropriately named, for he wields the family heirloom Crimson Spear. Imagine that. Oh, did I mention they have superpowers? Esperanza can teleport using magical pink bubbles, Flashclaw can move in a flash, and Crimson Spear can split into 3. Enter into this the duo of Hazel and Vector, who offer to take Esperanza away to a magical happy land of a familiar tree that grants, I don't know, but it's a good place, okay? Flashclaw wants none of this, and a confrontation with her father ensues that ends with her finding inspiration from within, her power manifesting as she blasts her father back with a blast of righteous rage. Shocked out of his bigotry by his pissed-off trans daughter, he realizes the error of his ways and happily ever after, etc., etc. Chapter 3. We're introduced to an evil dystopian empire that manufactures super soldiers. We meet Echo Squad, 6 identical prototypes, that's the species, not the description, along with an alpha who get trained up and brainwashed in video game-like simulations, culminating in a killing spree of repression as they play a game in which they murder dissidents and bystanders. I did say it was an evil empire. This ends in a party in the streets before Echo 4 is ordered to gun down a pair of children. They hesitate but ultimately obey. This is too much for Echo 4, whose mind breaks, and they spend the next scenes dealing with depression. I sense a theme in these. In the next mission, they are threatened with an immediate execution by their superior. Echo 4 complies, but their fried neurons begin to form a plan that, as it turns out, involves murdering their entire squad and laying down righteous vengeance on Echo Alpha. They end up in a brawl in the streets before they are beaten to death by other squads who have arrived to quell the rebellious actions of one of their own. That said, we're left with hope, as whatever magical conscience Echo 4 develops seems to be contagious. The desire for freedom from oppression is contagious? Well, I never. The story ends as it began, with a zoom shot of a pitch-black room and the spotlight on the torn-apart body of Echo 4. The end shot zooms out, however, and in an epic Skeletor, we see Esperanza's back before she turns her head to the side and her tattoos flash, ending Chapter 3. Chapter 4 brings our main players together. We begin in a beach town where Echo 4, now called Ivy, Roman numeral 4, it makes sense if you look at it, it's been stitched back together by unknown means, and they debate throwing their rifle into the ocean to forget their past. Vector, who is trying his hand at surfing, suggests that Ivy can find some other use for it, so of course Ivy spends the next scene with a blowtorch hammer and anvil, reforging their rifle into a badass axe, or electric guitar. That's totally what I would have done. While Ivy is reinventing themselves as a musician, Hazel is watching from afar, apparently haunted by the specter of the previously been living in Vector's head. Wait, what? Okay, hear me out. When Hazel rescued Vector from the labyrinth of his mind, the demon of vengeance decided it didn't want it to end there, so it hitched a ride in the psyche of the individual whose existence spawned it in the first place. Basically, Hazel is a young adult and life sucks and she's mad about it. Maybe she should be the one with the guitar. And at the same time, Esperanza is fretting about the evils of the world and not having the power to protect those dear to her. This culminates in a series of dreams where her powers seem to have attracted the attention of a really tall Rexy made of diamond. Enter Perfect Folly, a creature of unknown origin who not only offers his help to Esperanza, but repeatedly haunts her with visions and nightmares of her friends dying. Eager for someone to talk to about this, she approaches Hazel, but Hazel has problems of her own, and after physically turning into the specter of herself during an argument, she retreats in shame. After much soul-searching and meditation, Esperanza decides to take matters into her own hands and seeks out Perfect Folly. The remaining trio pursues. This ends in a confrontation in which Perfect Folly double-crosses Esperanza, trapping Vector, Hazel, and Ivy behind a wall of diamond as he draws Esperanza's soul from her body. Luckily, Ivy is a badass guitarist now, and she blasts the wall of diamond away, then proceeds to power chord the ever-living shit out of Folly. Meanwhile, Hazel manifests her specter to pull Esperanza's soul back. Defeated, Folly retreats through a portal, but in a last act of defiance, he brutally rips Esperanza's soul from her, taking the specter of Hazel along with it. Given the specter and Hazel are the same individual, this sends both Esperanza and Hazel into a coma, to the horror of Ivy and Vector. And that leads us to The Folly of Perfection, which you can catch this Saturday at Furality. Yay!